welcome back to my channel, DIY with Janelle. Today we are going to make a wall clock. Now you've probably seen all those beautiful farmhouse decor clocks, and I thought I would try to make one. So what I did, I went to Home Depot and I bought a 6-foot piece, 6 foot by 3/4 inch piece of wood. I cut it down to 24-inch pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut it in a big circle. So what I did first, I laid 6 pieces down, and I made sure that they were at least wide enough for my clock. And I'm thinking I'm going to do one about 20 inches in diameter. Then I stuck a nail in kind of the center. I offset it a little bit because I didn't want it to be directly in between 2 of the pieces of wood. Stuck a nail and I measured 10 inches, and I just have a piece of string on a pen. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make one big circle. I've measured from the point of my nail 10 inches because I wanted a 20-inch clock. And once I get that all circled in, I will go ahead and use my scroll saw. I haven't used that yet to cut my lines, and I'll show you all those little steps. All right, let's make a circle. Okay, so now I have everything circled. I kind of drew some extra lines up here, but I'll clean that up. So one thing that I noticed is that some of the wood had some imperfections, and I kind of laid it out so that it wouldn't come on the circle. And then you could also flip it around and see what's the better side. And so just kind of look at your wood, but the farmhouse look is kind of rustic and kind of beat up. And so if there's that part of it, then it kind of just adds to the charm. So I'm going to go ahead and head over to my scroll saw and cut out my my line, and then we'll put it back together. Okay, so now we're here at my scroll saw. I cut out my first piece as the very bottom, and I'm just gonna go ahead and follow. I'm gonna go ahead and follow this line. I'm wearing gloves because it gives me a little bit of grip, and it's cold outside. So what you want to make sure is that this metal piece is kind of nice and flush against the wood. It helps it from bouncing up and down, and you can adjust it with this knob on this side here. I like the scroll saw because it gives me a better handle with 2 hands. You can use a jigsaw, but I like the fact that I can hold it with 2 hands. All right, let's do some cutting. Okay, so I have all my pieces cut out. It kind of was harder than I expected it to be because my line wasn't exactly straight, but it kind of worked out anyway because I can go ahead and sand it, so I had to kind of shave it down. So on this side right here, I'm not exactly 100% even, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sand all of it, stain it, and then I'm going to glue it together, and then kind of fix the side here with my sandpaper because it'll be easier to do that. I sanded everything down, and I ended up kind of fixing the crooked side, and so I just clamped it together and kind of smoothed it out a little bit, and it seemed to help a lot. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and stain it. I'm not going to leave it in the stain. I'm going to go ahead and cover it over with white, but I want that distressed look. So I'm going to stain it first, and then when I go and paint it on with white, I can go ahead and sand it or just use a wet distress method. What I'm using this time, I got Early American stain. I've seen this and I kind of like the look, and so I'm going to go ahead and try it out. Here I have my clock set out and it's dried, and I used the Early American stain, but it was a little light for what I wanted, even though I'm painting it white. And so what I did is I took a little bit of the dark walnut, and I just lightly touched the edges, and then I just brushed it real light on the top to make lines, and it just gave it a little bit better dimension. It just gave it a little bit more character. And so another way you can do it is you can just take your rag and then either just brush the edges, and just to give it just a tiny bit of a darker look, so that when you paint it with the white, kind of like a whitewash, you'll kind of see that little bit of a darkness. And so I just kind of, just anywhere I felt like you needed some extra color, I just added that to that. So just a little technique to this. We're going to go ahead and glue it together. Then I'm going to go ahead and get my clock mechanism and drill a hole in there to put that in there. All right, time to get gluing. I'm just using my wood glue here that I got from Lowe's. A nice generous bead of glue. I'm going to use my clamps. Now my clamp isn't long enough to do this last piece, so I'm going to have to do that last. So I'm going to clamp it to make sure that everything is nice and snug, and we'll do that last piece after this has dried for a while. So I'm going to line up my wood, wipe away any glue. This would work better with a piece of paper towel, wet paper towel, but I didn't grab any. You want to make sure that all your pieces are nice and even, because you can't fix it after it's been glued. Just set a clamp right here, because this wasn't 100% even, and so this will kind of help keep it a little bit more secure. And I don't know if this is going to mess it up. So I'm going to let this dry, and then get this last piece on, and then the fun begins. So everything's glued down. It looks amazing. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And I think I'm going to have my lines going vertically. No, I have them going horizontal instead of vertically. Again, this is just your preference. I've seen them both, and so what I'm going to do is I have these scrap pieces of, I think they're 1x2s, or not quite sure what they are. They were scraps and they're working perfect because the width will fit my little clock mechanism. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just place them on here, and I'm going to, just for extra security in the back, and make sure that it covers all, and then use my nailer to go ahead and secure it. So I'm not using a hanger. Now I may change my mind in the future, and what I might do is just put a piece of wood on the top and then either drill a hole in it or create some kind of a hanger for it. But for this project, what I'm going to do right now, and I'm just going to lean it up against the wall, so I'm not going to put a hanger on this time. I'm going to go ahead and prepare my hole for my my clock mechanism. I'm going to drill the center. I measured 10 and 10, and I marked it. And I have my drill bit here, and I'm going to drill a hole in the center. Okay, so I have to get a bigger bit. Here I go again, stumped. So my little shaft right here is not long enough to go through this amount of wood. So what I'm gonna have to go do is go back to Hobby Lobby and get a new mechanism with a longer shaft. That way it can go through the hole in my wood. So heading to Hobby Lobby, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and paint my my clock and get it ready, and then make my trip, and then when I come back it can be nice and dry. I'm going to create kind of like a whitewash. I'm going to dilute my paint with water, so I'm going to put, I don't even know, I'm just going to put like half. It's probably not going to use a lot of paint. I'm going to put, I have these little dollar store cups that I got in a set of 4 or 5. And then I'm going to put a couple scoops of paint. And this is just interior paint that I got from Lowe's for a different project. It's just I think it's called Divine Cream. I refinished a dresser and have this left over. So it's just basically, I've just put, well, 2 teaspoons. I'm gonna go ahead and maybe add 1 more. And basically this is just to have that whitewash look, because I want the wood grain to come through the middle. This is a satin finish paint. Just give it a nice little stir. I have this chip brush that I got. I honestly don't remember where I got it from. I think it was from the dollar store. I don't 100% remember. Or you could buy it at any craft store. So I'm going to go ahead and just start painting. I came inside because it was getting a little cold and dark in the garage, and so I brought the project inside. Now my first coat of the whitewash is dry, and it came out a nice gray. It's just beautiful. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I'm going to try to get a close-up of it. And when I initially did it, I forgot to do the sides. So I'm just still using the whitewash watered down, and I'm just going to brush the ends, and after I've done a portion of it, I have a piece of wet paper towel and I'm wiping it down. That's what gives it the nice wash look. And so I'm just going to go ahead and finish that all the way around, and then I'm going to do another coat on the top, a little bit more, have a little bit more white in it. So I don't really have a full idea of what I want to do. I'm just kind of basically looking at it and seeing what I like. I also went ahead and I drilled my hole in the center. Now, I came across another roadblock. So I went to Hobby Lobby, got a clock mechanism that the shaft was a lot longer, but the hole was too small. I didn't have a big enough bit, so I found something else in my garage that drilled this hole about a 1/2 inch. Then I get it all installed, and my arms from the Amazon order didn't work for the Hobby Lobby clock mechanism. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the clock. I'm gonna go ahead and order the whole piece that works with the longer shaft, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it up. And that's just the things that you learn as you go. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my whitewash. I'm gonna get a closer look of what I'm doing here, and I'm gonna wipe it off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just take my paint. I'm gonna take as much out of it, and I'm gonna kind of rub it on I've got some butcher paper right here, and just take out as much as I can. Then I'm gonna start all the way over here on the side, and I'm just gonna kind of lightly brush it on here to make the streaks. Now, if you find that you're too heavy on the streaks, that's why your paper towel is with you. And so I'm just wiping as much of as I can and just making my streaks. Makes the distressed wood look, and it's coming out really nice. Okay, so right here, I did a little extra. And so I'm going to take my wet paper towel, and I'm just going to gently wipe it, because I don't want to see the end strokes. And then it just kind of softens it a little bit. And just kind of makes it like a nice... I'm going to go ahead and just continue. I'm loving how it's coming out. It's so pretty. That first initial coat that has a great back tone on it is just pretty. So you just kind of play with it and work with it. Again, if you feel like it's too much, wipe it off a little bit. If you need more. All right, let's let this dry, and then we're gonna go ahead and put my numbers on, and we'll deal with this at a later time. I'm gonna go ahead and get our numbers ready for our clock, and I am doing this as simple as I can. I took the text box that was over here with the letter A, and I'm gonna go in order of the clock. So I'm gonna do 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know how to count. And then I want these all the same font at Times Roman. And then I want each of the numbers to be at a specific size. So I'm gonna go ahead and ungroup it. I'm going to move this up here a little bit. So I'm not going to do this as a group, like resize it as a group. I'm going to go ahead and do it individually. So I'm going to do this at 1 and then 2.5 height. So the width is 1, height is 2. So I'm going to do that to every single number. And then what I did, so I enlarged all of them. I'll spare you the details. I went over here to my shapes, clicked on the circle, and I made a circle just on this side. It doesn't have to be. And basically this is going to be my guide. I'm not going to cut it out like that. I'm going to resize the circle at 20 by 20 because that's the size of my clock. And it's going to be a very large circle. So I'm going to minimize my screen. And then you'll see it. And so once I have all my numbers the size I wanted, I placed them inside. I have another page here that I did it all. Okay, so here you have an idea of what you want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup it. And I'm going to get rid of this square. this circle. Maybe I should have Jordan teach me how to do my shapes. And then I'm going to go ahead and just put them on my mat so that I can cut it out. And I'm just going to place them together. I don't really, doesn't matter what order. I'm going to give a tiny bit of a space so I can cut it out and then place it on my clock. You can choose whatever font you want. I just use a very simple font. I know I've seen a variety of different options, and you can just do lines, you can do Roman numeral, whatever. You make this a customized to what you like, what's going to fit your decor. And that's the great thing about doing our DIY projects. All right, so I'm going to use vinyl, so I'm going to go here to my send. I'm going to change my material to vinyl. And I'm going to use, I have a new vinyl I'm going to go ahead and use. I got it from the same spot that I got my transfer paper from. And I'm going to go ahead and link that below. I've never used it before, so I'm going to give it a try today. So I'm going to put vinyl matte. I'm going to hook it up to my silhouette and let my silhouette do its magic. So I have everything cut out, and I just cut up the excess because I can use it for another project. I like to save as much vinyl instead of wasting it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and weed out and leave the numbers on the back of this mat. And this is Frisco Craft vinyl. I'm excited to use it. This is my first time using it, and I'm excited to see how it's going to turn out. I think the pressure on my blade isn't strong enough. I might need to adjust that the next time I cut something, because it's not cutting clean. Something to be very aware of on as you're cutting your vinyl and different type of vinyls that you have. But I can still make it work. If you find that you have extra vinyl in the way, just give it a nice clean cut. That way you're not fussing with it too much. I'm going to cut them out individually so that I can go ahead and get them ready for my clock when it's time to put them on. So I have this transfer tape from the same company, Frisco Crafts, and I love how I can reuse this. it's better when it's kind of used. It has a better, doesn't stick to the material that you're sticking it to. It sticks great to the vinyl, so it's great for use. So because I don't like to waste, I'm gonna just use part of it for each number, and then that way I don't have to cut this and I can use it for a different project. So my paint dried very quickly, and that's the great thing about the whitewash, it just dries really quickly. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure where my number 12, my number 6, 3, and 9 are gonna go. And so what I did is I just have, this is the biggest ruler that I have. So I'm gonna just center it in the middle of my hole right there and just kind of make a mark. I'm not gonna make a very big mark because I don't want it to be seen. And then I will use that as my guide for my numbers. All right, I'm gonna zoom in and get an up close and personal view. All right, let's go ahead and add some numbers. I'm just gonna use my transfer paper, and I'm just gonna reuse the same one. I don't wanna cut anything, and I don't think it's necessary. It looks so good.